Hey guys, it's Joey, and this month I decided I was going to go through 15 horror movies because horror is not a genre I particularly know much about. I've never really dove in deep into the horror genre. I'm kind of all over the place when it comes to movies. So I thought I would do myself a favor and really check out some of what today and yesterday had to offer in the world of horror. So today's video is going to be about Session 9. I watched Session 9 last night, and for the most part, I was pretty impressed by this movie. It came out almost 20 years ago already. Pretty interesting cast. It seemed a very self-contained kind of film, which I always like. I like horror with as little, as small a cast as possible. I've always just liked sort of a box film. 10 Cloverfield Lane is one of my favorite movies, and it's, it's three people in a bunker underground, and it just devolves from there. So I kind of like that thing. And Session 9 is kind of in the same areas that there's a little bit of Satanism here and there, a little bit of, they might be all messed up in the brain. There's a little bit of, is it a dream? Is it real? What's actually real? This guy's psychosis is taking over. Is it, was he always crazy? Did he go to this facility, or was it being on the job, or, what was it? For the most part, I enjoyed this film. I thought it was, some great early 2000s horror. Had a look. It had sort of a guerrilla filmmaking style look. It seemed like it was done for probably a very reasonable budget. Some lesser known actors, some actors that kind of bloomed in their careers not a couple years later. The premise of the movie wasn't totally my cup of tea. I'm kind of over the whole multi-personality thing. Are they crazy? When this is an insane asylum. I like the way they did it, though. The execution of it was pretty entertaining for the most part. But I think just the way they use a lot of sound effects and the way they, sweep that camera through the rooms of the abandoned psychiatric hospital was very well done. There was almost like this just sort of grossness to the whole movie the whole time just because of the colors of this facility. So I thought that was really cool, and it drew me in. And then, the place felt lived in. It felt real, and it was a real place. It's a Danvers. It was Danvers facility in Massachusetts. They had an excellent location for something like that. Excellent location. But I think, the plot was a little confusing to me, and there were some things where I didn't totally understand why they did it. There's a whole thing with tapes and this young woman that has multiple personalities in her, and it's kind of like that kind of indicates what happens with one of the main characters, and I just didn't, at the end of that movie, I just didn't see a reason why those tapes were there other than to tell us what's going on with the main character, because there's like a parallel to what's going on with those, multiple personality kind of thing. I thought it was a little heavy-handed, if you ask me. I don't know if that was the fault of the filmmakers or maybe the studio wanted them to, give more exposition and more reason to why this guy was acting a certain way, or, give more background to what happens at the end. I'm recording this in 2020. This film came out almost 20 years ago. People's temperament for that kind of thing, I think, people have seen so much of it by now that maybe something like that would have done better then. And, this is sort of an interesting idea. There's multiple personality. This guy's, he's basically losing his mind. He was an inmate. The inmates are running the asylum kind of thing. And there's even a nod or a mention at the beginning of the film about how some of the inmates come back, and he's probably one of those. It's just there's a couple things that I haven't totally pinned down, and that's mostly because I think they weren't necessary. I could be wrong, of course, but that was just my kind of takeaway from that movie. There seemed to just be, they had something there, but I think there was two ideas for a film that they were trying to combine, and it just it kind of fell flat for me. It did have some pretty good scares. Some of it was kind of funny. There was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheek kind of thing going on there too. It's very early 2000s, and I love it for it. Overall, I did like the film, and I probably watch it again sometime in the future. Except I just wish some of the plot lines were, I wish they had chosen one thing or the other. Are we going to do this, young girl maybe haunting this asylum with the multiple personality disorder? Or are we going to do this guy with sort of some kind of cognitive dissonance, like he has also multiple personality, or he has like, I don't know, he goes into some kind of psychosis where he can't really distinguish real life from whatever's going on in his head, and it kind of collapses in on itself. I wish they had kind of picked one way to go. The thing is called Session 9, which kind of correlates to the tapes that of the little girl with multiple personalities, but that seemed to almost have really no impact on the story. At least from my perspective, I didn't really totally get how they connected besides this guy losing his mind. Maybe you could let me know in the comments below if I missed something. Completely possible that I have. But anyway, overall, I'd say this movie's pretty solid. I did enjoy it for the most part. The ending, I wasn't totally on board with, but it was fine. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought of Session 9 if you've watched it. If you haven't, there's a ton of spoilers in this, so sorry. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, do that whole thing. There are a couple more of these coming out before Halloween, so stay tuned. Put on the little bell thing so you get your notifications when a new video drops. And I usually do stuff like this on this channel all the time. I review movies and talk about TV shows and all, kind of goes into horror and surrealism and sci-fi and superheroes and comic books and stuff like that. So stick around. Maybe you'll have some fun. See you later.